Great, thanks very much, Chrissy. Do appreciate it. Thanks to Jackson and the team for putting on a great event here. Look, I'm really excited to tell you about our two copper projects in Arizona. The Oracle Ridge Copper Project is the focus of my presentation, along with our Silver Mountain project as well, which has some really exciting opportunities for a major scale project. Important disclaimers. So we're about copper and we're in Arizona. Arizona is a place where you get major copper projects, and I don't think there's many people not, on the bus that copper has that potential to really rally. Robert Friedland recently, forecast that copper could go up about 10 times. I'd be happy with, almost 50% at this point in time. But look, if that's the case, that's going to bode very, very well for copper explorers and developers such as us. The US has got targets to have 100% clean energy by 2035. That's going to require an enormous amount of copper. That's why they recently put copper as a critical material and supporting that with funding and getting copper projects online in the US. So again, that's perfect for us. Before I go on, I'll just give you a bit of a quick background. So we were founded by Charlie Bass, who many of you know, discovered Jundee back in the day, one of the joint founders of Aquila Mining. He's got a great track record of finding, developing companies and projects. So he put this company together originally. I was lucky enough to join the story about 3.5 years ago when we bought the Oracle Ridge project, which is in Arizona. So this is a last mine in the early 90s at about 1 million tonnes over 5 years. And what we're looking to do and what we've done is to grow that resource base. We've taken this resource from about 12 million tonnes up to nearly 30 million tonnes. So that now puts us in a strong position to really have a much longer mine life and a bigger production rate. And this project's got that history of mining. So it made a high-grade concentrate to 28 to 31% copper. Geotechnically, it was right, had the permits, had the water, had the access, had the support. So that puts us in a really good point, and now that we've built that resource base up. We're in Arizona, it's Tier 1. I'm going to talk about why that's important in a moment, but what we're focusing on now is doing our scoping studies on the back of the recent discoveries that we've had. And we've also found a simplified pathway for production as well. So I'm going to... So this is where we are. We're surrounded by the majors, BHP, Rio Tinto, South 32. There's a belt called the Laramide Arc, which goes down from the south up towards Nevada, and that just hosts the big projects. So we're amongst the majors. In the US in particular, it's very important that you've got your ground is on patented claims, and we've got all our mineral resources are located around about there. Our tailings dam is located, hang on if I spin that one, sits about here. And that puts us in a really good position for the restart of the project. That's what our mineral resources looks like. There's an underground mine with about 18 kilometres of tunnels. To put that in perspective, it's about $100 million to put that in. It's around the existing resources as well, so that's important. Compared to our market cap of sub $20 million, we've got fantastic infrastructure. These are recent photos. We've been drilling from underground. The pump sumps fans are working. The mines inspectors turns up. We've got mines rescue teams. We've got the works for a future operation. So that is an amazing benefit. This is not a greenfields project. There's over 1,000 holes sitting in this resource, supporting this resource and around the existing development. I had someone come up to the booth the other day and they were asking about, well, what's your tonnes per vertical metre? Well, we've got 2 portals that go in on the side of the mountain, and then a lot of the resource that you can see here, it goes up. So we've got negative tonnes per vertical metre. So that makes it really helpful for lower mining costs because you can put in ore passes, you're not labouring trucks from at depth. But then also from a green perspective, it doesn't need as much energy to be able to ventilate these types of mines compared to deeper mines. You don't have your trucks aren't producing as much emissions, or if you start going down battery electric trucks as well, which should work really well for us, then there's 0 emissions from that equipment. So we get really nice high-grade zones, but we get plenty of decent thick zones which are really amenable for lower cost mining operations. if you can see some of these here, you know, there's like 110 metres at 1% copper, 70 metres at 1.6, you know, 90 plus metres at 1.35. So you can start getting in big tonnes, big stopes, which is perfect for what we want to do. But there's a lot more to be found. You know, we've got nearly 30 million tonnes in our resource at 1.35% copper. The silver and gold added about 20% extra value historically, but we feel like we've just scratched the surface. This pink zone that you can see there, so that's the outline of the current resource, but all these areas here are still open. So there is a lot more to be found still on the patented claims. This is an example. There's an old mine. There's a number of old historic mines on our claims outside the resource. So you can see what they look like. And there's some of the grades there, 3% copper, 2.5%, 4% copper. There's some really nice grades there outside the resource. But at this point, our focus is let's get the study done. We can show how much money this project's going to make. And we know that this will go for another 5 or 10 years after the initial mine life. If I spin around to the other side of the project, over about a 7-kilometre strike, the copper mineralisation continues and extends on surface. It's quite extraordinary. These are big systems that you get in Arizona. You can sort of see some of the grades here are nothing short of spectacular. 4 to 10% copper outcropping on surface with a geophysical anomaly dipping back into the mountain. So, you know, the point is, well, you know, where do you target? There's so much to be found. Our scoping studies is well underway. That's due in Q3 this year. We're particularly focused on finding a simplified pathway for processing, and we've had some great success on that recently using glycine, just out of Curtin University here of all places, which is really exciting. We got plus 90% recoveries of our sulfides, which you might think that sounds a bit strange, but yeah, sulfides, because we've got a lot of bornite and chalcocite, it leaches. Unlike most copper projects in the world, chalcopyrite, which is notoriously hard to leach, we've got a lot of bornite and chalcocite. So we've got different minerals, so that makes your processing plant a lot simpler. You're not going through smelting, refining. You can go straight through to SXEW for a smaller plant. These are our key milestones. Scoping study now will move on very quickly to the pre-feas and look to get into the early operational works around about 2026. I'm going to touch on Silver Mountain because this is a really exciting project. This is the one up north of Phoenix. It's where the major porphyry system aligns with the VMS system and the two major systems collide. And we've got some extraordinary grades on surface, and we've got a lot of cool smoke as well for a big mineralised system. There's outcropping pegmatites, there's pebble dikes, there's a lot of veining, similar to what you see in Baghdad, big major mines, but there's a lot of little operations with some phenomenal grades. So 80 gram per tonne gold, 11% copper, outcropping on surface. So we've got guys on boots on the ground as we speak, mapping, preparing targets, which we'll use for future drilling. Corporately, we've got about 300 million shares on issue, so still pretty tightly held. Charlie Bass, who I mentioned at the start of the presentation, owns about a third, very, very supportive of this project. We had about $500,000, but we're doing a rights issue as we speak. So I do encourage you that if you're keen to take up some shares, to come and get in contact or to talk, have a look on our website as well. Thanks very much. In summary, 2 projects working towards production, copper, really good funding opportunities, some great grades, an existing underground mine, and we're working towards a restart. Thanks very much.